Well, Survivor Samoa begins tomorrow night right here on CBS. It is the first time the reality show has returned to the island nation since the deadly tsunami 2 years ago.
CBS News correspondent Betty Nguyen traveled there as well to see how the Samoans are recovering, and great to have you there covering this. Nice to have you with us, too.
Well, good to see you both. You know, it happened so very quickly. Just before 7 a.m., kids on the way to school, many just waking up. A massive 8.1 magnitude earthquake hit near Samoa on September 29, 2009. And what happened minutes later changed so many lives.
We started panicking when we saw the water receding.
Joe Annandale and his wife Tui knew what to expect of the tsunami, but nothing could prepare them for what would unfold.
We saw this massive wall of water rolling in.
With no time to seek higher ground, the couple sought shelter in a car parked behind a neighbor's house and waited.
Of course, the wave just rolled in, picked up the house, picked us up and slammed us against that tree there. And
There's
it just took
left now.
nothing left. You know, it was just mayhem. I mean, there was this, it was just the whole village was underwater.
The sheer power of the wave carried them nearly a quarter of a mile. The couple had been married for 40 years and owned a popular island resort. He was a village chief, she a former beauty queen. They were inseparable until swept apart.
And her last words, and I still remember, her last words is, "Jesus help us."
Tui was one of 189 people to perish that September morning, many of the victims children. The devastation to the island was unimaginable, and the wounded were overwhelming local hospitals.
Medicines, bandages, surgical kits, dressing packs, all that sort of stuff.
Dr. Ramona Salins was in Samoa wrapping production on the TV show Survivor. Stationed on a side of the island untouched by the tsunami's wrath, she rushed in with urgently needed supplies.
We just got big cardboard boxes and we just basically cleared the shelves and just headed to the clinic.
When you're dealing with children who've been injured, I mean, they're crying, some screaming.
If you get too involved in the emotion and too involved in the crying, you start shaking or get really upset, or you might start tearing yourself. So, you know, you just have to focus.
The waves that swept the shores of Samoa reached 46 feet in height, and while they destroyed much of the island, they couldn't destroy the spirit of its people. Today, the bustle of the local markets has returned, and many sections of the coast are once again lush and pristine. But the effects of the tsunami are still seen in places. Some resorts still haven't rebuilt some 2 years after the deadly tsunami. The owner of this one simply didn't have the money, even though it offers one of the best views of the South Pacific. Joe Annandale faced the same economic hardship rebuilding his resort, but he forged on because his is not a survivor story, it's a love story.
You've got to rebuild, and you've got to redo it. You've got to rebuild for Tui, and that's what we've done.
2 years ago, the Sinalei Reef Resort looked like a total loss. Here is the resort today. These grounds, these gardens, which Joe's wife had spent years cultivating, alive once more.
This is all about her. She's here all the time. Yeah, got to rebuild the spa. As you can see, spa Tui Ilangi.
Which translates to?
Tui in heaven.
That's where she is.
That's where she is.
How has this changed you? Has it made you a more resilient person?
I'm not quite sure what it's made me. I still have my weak moments.
When you have your moments, what do you do?
I love music, and I play the guitar.
A song he hopes will heal the heart. And we found that kind of resolved in quite a few Samoans. This nation is heavily dependent on tourism. And when Survivor and the tourists left 2 years ago, it seemed doubtful they would return. But they have. And we'll see what happens when a reality show deals with a real-life crisis. We call it Survivor Economics, and I will have that part of the story tomorrow.
It's good to see them rebuilding there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Looking forward to that.